Welcome back to Cord Cutting Today, where we break down some of the biggest stories happening in the world of cord cutting, including today. Comcast and Spectrum are expected to continue to lose subscribers, with cable internet providers losing millions of subscribers this year and next year. Though there's some hope for them. We'll see. Cord Cutting 2.0 is really taking off. I'm not sure I agree that there's hope that they'll return to huge growth in the future. We'll see. Cord cutters are cutting back on the number of streaming services they're paying for, spelling trouble for streaming services. We'll tell you what's happening there and how many services the average cord cutter now pays for. Also, Roku is continuing its domination of cord cutting, but there's a competitor growing and they're losing a little market share. We'll see what's happening and more in a quick second. First though, if you're new here and you want to learn about any of these stories, I always put a link to all the stories so you can read them for yourself if you prefer it that way. In the show notes and in the first pinned comment, you can find it there. If you're new here and you like what we do, please consider hitting that subscribe button, hitting that thumbs up. Doing one or both lets YouTube know you enjoy what we do here. We post videos like this every Monday through Friday. With that said, let's dive into it. So, one of the biggest news stories out there in the world of cord cutting right now is Cord Cutting 2.0. This is the idea of instead of just canceling TV, you're also canceling internet and switching to new providers. With the growth of 5G home internet, satellite, fiber, and others, there's more options than ever. And this comes as it's expected that more than 2 million people will cancel internet from cable providers in 2024 and over 1 million in 2025. This comes from a report from MoffettNathanson, really well-respected research group that has paid very close attention to this market, this industry for a long time. Now, they are expecting in 2026 that cable internet providers will return to subscriber profit or growth as they expand into rural America, their networks to try to bring internet to people who don't have it. I'm a little less optimistic than that. We heard a lot of this in Cord Cutting 1.0, though I do think that the rate of Cord Cutting 2.0's growth may slow. I'm not sure we're going to see a huge return in years to come to cable internet providers for a variety of reasons. I think we're slowly seeing that trend shift over to 5G home internet and cheaper options out there and new options, as there's kind of becoming a divide out there with some customers going to fiber because they want the high speed, but a lot of customers just saying, hey, cheap internet is all we care about. We're not gaming. We're just watching Netflix. Doesn't take a crazy amount of speed. We're just surfing the web for Facebook, banking, maybe some other things. So that's dramatically changing it. I firmly believe that Cord Cutting 2.0 is just getting started. I think it's one of those things that reminds me a lot of 10 years ago when people were getting started in cord cutting. It was often dismissed as a temporary bump in the road that would eventually flip around. I don't think so. I think in the long run, this is a major concern for cable companies. And that's probably why they're working so hard to push wireless plans and diversify their business. Now, I'm not saying Comcast and Spectrum are going to go under. I just don't think they have an easy road to turn this around going forward. Leave me a comment. Have you joined the Cord Cutting 2.0 movement? Have you switched internet providers? I'd love to hear from you. All right. Speaking of Cord Cutting 2.0, Cord Cutting 1.0 is still going strong, but cord cutters are cutting back on the number of streaming services. During 2020, when everything was happening, the average American household started subscribing to more and more services. You were at home, you had time. It was all the entertainment you had. So instead of spending money at restaurants, theme parks, concerts, you were spending it on streaming. Well, in recent years, that's dropped and has continued to drop. Now, according to a survey of over 1,000 of our readers, thank you to everybody who took the time to fill this out, 76.6% of cord cutters pay for 4 or fewer streaming services. That's up from 63% in the spring. That said they pay for 4 or fewer. 60.5% pay for 3 or fewer. Now this is very interesting. The vast majority of cord cutters now pay for 3 or fewer streaming services. That's up from 47% in the spring. And the cord cutters who say they pay for 2 or fewer services is up to 43.2%. That's a jump from 27.3% in the spring of 2024. Just a few months, we're seeing a huge shift here in the number of services people are paying for. Increasingly, cord cutters are saying, I'm going to rotate this. These are all not worth it. 2, I'm going to be diving into more free ad-supported streaming services. That's why we've seen a huge growth in Tubi, Pluto TV, and others with that. So leave me a comment. Let me know. Have you cut back on the number of streaming services? If so, why? Are you rotating? Are you just paying for fewer? I think one thing that can't be ignored here is the number of people now getting services like Netflix and Disney Plus and others bundled. We just saw Kroger now offers a bundle deal for some Disney streaming services. I still get my Disney Plus bundle free from Netflix, or from Verizon, I'm sorry, because that's bundled to mine. Netflix is free with T-Mobile. The list goes on and on. I think more people are getting wiser about what they actually subscribe to. You know, hey, maybe I'm a Walmart Plus subscriber. My family is. We find it. I think it saves money because I'm not out there impulse buying like I would if I was in the store. But hey, you get Paramount Plus for free through that. The list goes on and on. Check it out. Link in the show notes. Let me know. Have you cut back on the number of streaming services you pay for? Also from that survey, Roku is continuing to dominate cord cutting with 66% of cord cutters using some type of a Roku player. Very interestingly, though, that is down slightly from where it's been in years past. And we're continuing to see a growth of smart TVs of all kinds taking over. Smart TVs are now the second most popular way out there at 37%, 30% using Fire TVs, 29% using laptops and PCs. Apple TVs at 12% of the market, according to over 1,000 of our readers. Now with that, readers have the ability to tell us all the devices they use, so the numbers don't add up to 100%, because you could tell me I have Roku and I use a Fire TV in our survey and we counted that. So leave me a comment. Let me know, how many of you use Roku? What's your favorite? Have you shifted away from Roku? I think increasingly once people get locked into a device, it takes a lot for them to switch away from it. They get used to it. All their stuff's here. As increasingly these devices talk to each other, we're seeing people kind of get locked into that more and more. Leave me a comment. Let me know. Do any of these numbers surprise you? I know Apple has very large following, Google TV and stuff. But in the cord cutting survey, we get a very small number of people actually telling us that they use them. I'll be interested to see how that plays out in the future as we see what happens with rumors of a new Apple TV always seeming to be just over the horizon but never quite coming. Google TV really being built into smart TVs. Though I've had several people tell me in comments that, well, yeah, my TV's a Google TV or a Samsung or whatever, but actually just plug a Roku, Fire TV, or whatever it may be into it, and that's what I actually use. Are you like that? Leave me a comment. Let me know. All right, if you're a Fire TV owner and you're looking for some free stuff, we talked about how the growth of free ad-supported streaming services are coming. We have the top 10 free Fire TV apps of 2024 updated. Recently, several services have either been sold or shut down, including Crackle, Chicken Soup for the Soul, Redbox, all shutting down. So we've updated our list with 10 new ones, or 10 ones are currently active, I should say. They're not necessarily new down there. Check it out. Link in the show notes if you want to see all those. I'd love to hear your recommendations. Also, if you're shopping around for internet as part of Cord Cutting 2.0, you may have noticed that there's new broadband nutrition labels. I kind of hate that. These look like the nutrition labels from food products, that little white box, that tell you things like average speed, pricing, fees, and other information you should be aware of. FCC has now mandated that all internet providers in the United States must disclose all kinds of basic information into an easy-to-read nutrition type label like you're used to on food boxes. This became mandatory for all providers last week. It's been slowly rolling out to large providers and now down to smaller providers over the last few weeks. Link in the show notes if you want to see an example of these, but it's one more attempt to kind of make buying of internet a little bit more transparent, forcing these companies to fully disclose fees and other expenses when they advertise their product. Well, that's it today. Welcome. We had several thousand new subscribers last week alone. It's great to have you all here. If you didn't, I did a Q&A over the weekend answering some of your biggest questions. Check it out. Click on the channel name. Look for the Q&A. Also, in the community tab, if you go to youtube.com/cordcuttersnews, click on the community tab. I posted this week's request for questions for the weekly Q&A. Not sure, again, that will be every week. There'll be definitely times where I'm busy. I may take a week off. But there's a call out there for questions for this week. Do you have a question about cord cutting or cord cutting related topics? Leave me a question. I'll try to answer a handful of them this coming weekend here. Until next time, take care, be safe. Thank you to everybody for your support. I really do appreciate it.